CBS 2 News at 11.
Breaking news tonight, shots fired at a Trump rally. The former president bleeding and rushed off the stage.
So we watched him go down and hit the ground and everybody was screaming.
A witness saying he saw the shooter on a roof.
Seen a guy on top of one of the buildings.
Tonight, Trump is safe and out of the hospital, and the attack is being investigated as an attempted assassination. Good evening, I'm Jessica Moore.
And I'm Maurice Dubois. Today's events nothing short of historic, sending shockwaves throughout America.
Here's what we know right now. Someone fired multiple shots during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh.
Former President Trump saying tonight he was shot in the ear. We want to be clear, this has not yet been confirmed. The Secret Service says the shooter is dead. A rally attendee was also killed. 2 others critically hurt. And we have learned President Biden has spoken with former President Trump. We have team coverage for you tonight, beginning with CBS 2's Lauren Linder in Butler.
Take a look at what happened.
Secret Service agents rushed former President Donald Trump off stage after shots were fired, moments after he began speaking at a Saturday evening rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania. The Secret Service says a man attending the rally was killed. A doctor standing nearby tried to help him, performing CPR.
The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here.
Trump raised his fist as he left the stage. On his Truth Social site, the former president said he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin, he wrote. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening.
I just hear these 4 shots and everybody screaming drop, and you can see the blood splatter on his face, and the Secret Service just barricades him.
The Secret Service says the gunman was outside the cordoned-off area of the rally, standing on an elevated structure, and that he was shot and killed by a member of the agency's counter-assault team. A large number of Secret Service agents is in Milwaukee right now ahead of the convention. They're trying to piece together what happened here in Butler. President Biden spoke a couple hours after the shooting.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
This was Trump's last rally ahead of next week's Republican convention in Milwaukee. He was taken away in a motorcade and again held up his fist as he got into his SUV.
That was Lauren Linder reporting. A man in the crowd told one of our reporters in Pennsylvania that he saw the suspected shooter on top of a building.
And that witness said he alerted police moments before the shots rang out.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seen a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there.
That witness said by the time he returned to his spot, the shooting had begun. He was not hurt.
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarlane was on the ground in Butler when the shooting started.
He joins us now from the rally location where it's nighttime there, and with what he saw and heard today. Scott, good evening to you. I heard you say earlier on the air tonight that you can't unhear it, you can't unsee it. Must have been an incredible sequence of events for you.
Maurice, what a monumental, unequivocal failure of historic proportions that thousands of people came to what should have been the safest event in town. Secret Service protection, everybody went through a magnetometer. There were people with paramilitary gear. For this to happen at a place where people brought their kids, brought their families, is unthinkable. I was on the rafters right near the cameras when the gunshots started, and it sounded to many of us like firecrackers. You know, bullets in person don't always sound like they do in the movies. And when we hit the ground looking for cover, it was also unmistakable to me, Maurice, that a lot of the people in the crowd couldn't find cover. They were jammed in like a rock concert. Only some of them had chairs, and you could hear the screams of some of the people in the rally, distraught at what they were seeing. I think it helped stabilize people when the former president jumped up and pumped his fist triumphantly. but they evacuated the entirety of this rally within about 10 minutes. We're in a parking lot a few football fields away. All our stuff is behind as investigators launch what is going to be an unprecedented criminal investigation in America.
And Scott, I wanted to ask you about the immediate aftermath of the shooting. We heard some hateful rhetoric sort of pointed at you and the other journalists there. What was that experience like?
A small minority of the crowd started cursing at us, blaming the media, saying this is your fault for inciting this. There were some bike rack barriers separating the media risers from the crowd. I think when Donald Trump jumped up triumphantly, it helped level some of that off. But I've been adding an anecdote throughout this night, Jessica, that a few of the folks who were taunting us, as often happens at Trump rallies early in the day, came to check on us. This was a tragically unifying experience for everybody here.
That it is. Okay, CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarlane. Thanks, Scott. Take care of yourself. We really appreciate your reporting tonight.
Donald Trump's children are reacting tonight on social media. Ivanka Trump posted on X, "Thank you for your love and prayers for my father and for the other victims of today's senseless violence. I continue to pray for our country. I love you, Dad, today and always."
And the former president's son, Don Jr., sharing this photo with the caption, "He'll never stop fighting to save America." Shocked and stunned are just some of the words used by the political establishment to describe the attack on former President Trump.
CBS 2 political reporter Marcia Kramer is here now with more on their reaction. Marcia.
Well, Jessica and Maurice, Donald Trump may have moved to Florida, but he was born and raised here and built his business empire here. So he will always be a New Yorker to many. The horror of the events in Pennsylvania bringing local Republicans and Democrats together to decry the violence and pray for the former president.
There's a lot of animosity in this campaign.
New York Republican Party Chairman Ed Cox had only been in Milwaukee for a few hours, barely had time to get settled for his party's nominating convention when he got word about the attempt on Donald Trump's life, telling me it hit home in a very personal way. He is the son-in-law of Richard Nixon.
It is something that is on the back of your mind, that this can always happen.
I'm just looking at this photo. You can see the bullet whizzing out behind Trump's head. This was an assassination attempt, plain and simple. And American elections should be determined by voters, not violence. And what we saw today is really just so horrific. And it saddens me for our country that this is where we are.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer posting on X, quote, "I am horrified by what happened at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania and relieved that former President Trump is safe. Political violence has no place in our country." Although the Biden campaign worked to take down political attack ads as quickly as possible, Congressman Lawler couldn't resist taking a shot at the Democrat campaign strategy.
Some of the rhetoric that has been used in the course of these political campaigns does not help. When you tell people that the other side is destroying democracy, that does not help.
Experts say the events in Pennsylvania will now play a part in the convention in Milwaukee.
Well, it certainly is going to color a lot of the events. I'm sure that we will see it being referenced by speakers throughout the convention.
The attack is also expected to harden Mr. Trump's resolve to talk about safety and his claim that migrants should be deported.
I do think that it will provide a platform for Mr. Trump to kind of showcase a lot of more of the things he wants to discuss on this campaign about safety and crime.
Now, officials tell me Mr. Trump intends to continue with his campaign plans, including the announcement of his running mate, Jessica Maurice.
Marcia, do you think there's any reason to believe the GOP will change anything about its position on guns?
Well, I asked Ed Cox and Mike Lawler about that, and they said definitely 100% no.
Wow. All right, the RNC starts Monday. This is one of the most locked down conventions, highest security. Are you hearing that it's going to be even tighter after this?
Well, you know, Jessica, there's planning currently underway to expand the perimeter at the RNC and create buffer zones around the events. Now, according to multiple law enforcement officials, security experts were already on high alert, and this is expected to tighten it even more. Now, a threat assessment found that there was already concern that the convention venues would be a target for all kinds of things, for terrorist organizations, homegrown extremists, bad actors, and active shooters. So they're now going to even tighten tighten it even more because they're concerned that any event, pre-convention, post-convention, could be a target.
Real concerns.
Yeah. All right, Marcia, thank you.
All right, Mel, so many questions tonight about security at this rally there in Pennsylvania and how the shooting could happen, but also how law enforcement can prevent this from ever happening again.
CBS 2's Derick joins us now in studio. And Derick, you spoke with some security experts about these very questions.
Yeah, and both these campaigns are really going to ask some hard questions now about what they're going to do going forward and take a closer look at their security protocols and rethink whether they should even be having rallies outdoors.
How did somebody get that close to the former president to be able to go ahead and by millimeters almost kill him?
Former FBI agent and security expert Manny Gomez was just as shocked as all of us, especially knowing what goes on behind the scenes.
The Secret Service has a very strict protocol. They send an advance team well ahead of the rally. So certainly there's going to be a major investigation as to what happened.
That investigation led by the FBI.
They're going to bring in their crisis management team, their critical incident response group. A lot of FBI resources are heading to meet the agents from the Pittsburgh field office because they have to go about finding out who is this dead gunman, where does he live, get a search warrant for that residence, get a search warrant for all his phones, electronics, accounts. They've got to delve into him and figure out, is he acting alone?
Expect to see heightened security going forward, like on election night 2008, when then-President-elect Obama addressed the nation from behind bulletproof glass. Is that something we're going to have to see going forward?
Perhaps, but we got to keep in mind, in these Trump rallies, it's 360 degrees. So you had people behind former President Trump, people in front, to his left, to his right. And the concern is of a copycat, somebody that's out there that sees this and says, wow, he got really close. Maybe I could get closer.
And, you know, another idea is have the rallies indoors. Gomez says that is a safer alternative because the Secret Service has total control of who is in that space. But really, at the end of the day, guys, the decision on where to hold this event, that is really up to the candidate itself. Jessica, Maurice.
All right, Derick, thank you.
Out of an abundance of caution, the NYPD says it is increasing security all across the city.
And that includes at Trump Tower in Midtown. CBS 2's Alecia Reid. They're live right now as supporters have been gathering outside. Alecia.
Maurice and Jessica, from the moment word started circulating about that shooting in Pennsylvania, Trump supporters started gathering here at Trump Towers in Midtown Manhattan. And although the crowd has dissipated a bit since then, the level of security is still here. Donning the American flag or Make America Great Again hats, Donald Trump supporters showed up to Trump Towers to lend their support after watching the assassination attempt play out on their TV screens.
I heard the pop, 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 and I realized what happened, and I just started crying. I just couldn't believe what was happening. And I'm very hurt that someone could feel it's okay to treat a human being like this.
Security on high alert, manning the building, police cruisers lining surrounding streets. In a statement, Mayor Eric Adams says no matter our disagreements, we must all agree that violence of any kind is unacceptable.
I immediately thought of, other assassinations of presidents like JFK and Abraham Lincoln. So this is huge.
I don't know why people are doing these bad things, If you don't like the guy, leave him alone. If you like the guy, show support. It's plain and simple.
Whether from the area or visiting New York, supporters say this incident has strengthened their support for the former president.
I'm with him all the way. We know it's coming from those people who want him to be dead, but the big guy there is with him. And he will always be with him because he's a good man. And he loves this country. And he wants the best for the American people.
I just felt like I needed to be here to show, even if President Trump doesn't know that I'm here, I just know I'm here for him. Because he's here for our country.
As safety is a top concern, Mayor Adams says additional officers have been dispatched to certain areas in the 5 boroughs. Live in Midtown, Alecia Reid, CBS 2 News.
Alecia, thank you. And political violence, certainly not something new in this country. 13 of 45 U.S. presidents have been subjected to assassination attempts, according to the Congressional Research Service. 4 presidents have been killed. At least 7 of the 9 past presidents have been targets of assaults, attacks, or assassination attempts.
Stay with CBS 2 for the latest on the attempted assassination of former President Trump. We will have much more on CBS 2 News tomorrow morning, beginning at 6 a.m. and streaming on CBS News New York.